Namaskar. Join me to welcome Indian Space Research Organization aka ISRO Chairman Dr. K. Sivan, who is joining us all the way from Bengaluru. Welcome to the show, Dr. Sivan.
Thank you, madam.
Sir, ISRO is in news for the announcement of Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, that is InSpace. So, Dr. Sivan, before we go into details of InSpace, we would need to understand how the space lovers should perceive this decision. This is not a Chandrayaan or Gaganyaan or Mangalyaan kind of mission. Rather, it is something like a business yarn. What do you think about it? How the space lovers should perceive this?
No, in fact, the space activities, basically when we are called space activities, what we meant this not only one activity, this building rocket, building satellite, launching the satellite and providing the space-based service using the satellite, then owning the satellite, all this is including the space activity. And if you are seeing that this the space activities right now in India is being done only by that ISRO or DOS, Department of Space. And of course, this Indian industries are heavily involved in these activities. Nearly 80-85% of that activities are done only in industries. But only thing is, industries are functioning as the providing components and parts. This one. And the reform, what the government has approved is mainly enabling the private people to carry out the space activities.
Yes.
And why this is required? This is the first question.
Yes.
If you have seen that the global scenario, especially in India, the space-based applications are exponentially increasing. And this is going to explode when we are moving towards that complete Digital India program of the government of India. And all these requirements, that the application requirements, may not be possible by ISRO alone with the present conditions. Otherwise, we have to make a bigger ISRO. That is not correct, not viable. And at the same time, there are a lot of private people are shown interest to carry out the space activities. So it is the right time to enable them, instead of allowing them, it is enabling them to carry out the space activities. That is the main purpose of this particular system. And why that we are specially feeling that enabling for space activities. The reason is the space activities involve safety, security, quality, and liabilities, many things. And so, a lot of risk involved, a lot of safety-related issues involved, a lot of liability-related issues involved. So, to do all these activities, basically, we need a mechanism to understand the requirements of that or the demands of that private players, and based on that the requirements, they will assess the value of the proposal, and based on that one, they will allow the private players to carry out the space activities.
Okay.
At the same time, that to carry out the space activities, a lot of bigger facilities, and also that is very costly facilities, and this is required. So this to make the private players to carry out the job in ease, it was decided to allow the private players to use the ISRO's facilities.
Yes,
that
sir.
way, the system is become more and more conducive for private players to carry out the space-based activities and do the whole thing in commercial basis for their benefits.
Sir, do you see this as an expansion of ISRO, or maybe some distribution of powers among ISRO and InSpace? How do you perceive this?
No, it is that both are not right. It is not the expansion of ISRO. It is not the sharing some work of ISRO is not like that. By this process, ISRO's work is not going to reduce. ISRO is going to continue to do the same job as it did earlier. That is number one. That is one part. What all it is trying to do is the private players earlier they were involved in the space activities only as the vendors, supplying parts and the components to ISRO.
Yes.
Now we are making them to enabling them to carry out the job, to the activities. So they also can do the job. They also can do the business, space business. That is a thing. It's an additional vertical added in Department of Space. This
Okay.
activity.
I just want to understand the key responsibility areas. We usually say the KRAs of all these agencies are separate, different.
No, that key responsibility areas, again, I'm telling that this also that we are not defined. See, that is that ISRO will continue to do the job. There's nothing that no change in this ISRO's activities. Either developing that advanced system or development of the building the capacity building, that is enhancing that capability. These type of activities continue to be there with ISRO that now also, and that will continue to do this one.
Okay.
And what we are trying to tell is that is see that the private players we are enabling the private players to carry out that space activities. Suppose if they were that the private players are wanted to build a rocket and launch a satellite, they are allowed.
Okay.
If the private players are owning a spacecraft, it is allowed. And that they can involve in the space activity and carry out the space business. That is the purpose.
Yes.
The additional, this extra the feature for enabling the private people to carry out the space activity.
And who are the key private players? You can foresee something?
And we are expecting that the private players from that the big industry, small industries, and the startups and academia and all the areas, we are expecting the people to do their job.
And it will be ready in 6 months. So how these key private players will approach ISRO?
See, this system involved many the infrastructure we need to build in. That is, first we have to secretariat to be made. Then we have to bring the people into the secretariat, and also that we have to identify that the board, and then also you have to work out that they have to work out the strategies of this, how to do it. At the same time that we have to make sure that the SATCOM policy, remote sensing policy, and are modified to enable the private players. At the same time, that is, we need to produce a new policy like that navigation policy. Then at the same time, it is essential to bring that Space Act bill. All these things will happen. So only when everything is in place, only that they can do the job. So that's what we told that it will take about 6 months to install the entire system.
Yes.
And at the same time, that we are not telling that private people have to wait till that time. They can as well give their requirements or their this one to DOS. That we will, as a case by case, we will review and do the needful.
So the structure of InSpace is ready, the composition and all?
No, that we are working on that.
So it will take 6 months. That's what your time you are
Yes, actually, we have already vision is made how that InSpace will look like. So InSpace will have a chairman, and InSpace will have different directorates, technical directorates, the safety, security, legal, promotion, monitoring. All these things will be there. Different directorates will be there under the chairman. And these the directorates will assess that the private players' requirement and their need, what they want, that they will assess, and based on that, that assessment will be discussed in a board. In that board, the chairman of the InSpace will be the chairman of the board, and the directorates, director will be the chairman of the board, I'm sorry, members of the board. Then additionally, we will have that members from industries and academia also. And that board will give a final go ahead or not. So this overall, that the structure or the plan we have already envisioned,
Yeah.
but it is to be in place. That
Okay.
activity is going on.
Yes. And how about the economic angle, sir? The budget, the revenues, and everything. It will be separate for InSpace.
Now, this budget for InSpace will be given by will be done by that Department of Space. Now also that when the Union government discussing about the budget, and it will be discussing the budget is meant for Department of Space,
Yes.
and that only will take the requirements of that ISRO's. ISRO means different centers under ISRO, autonomous bodies and other things. Like that, this in-space budget requirements also will be met by Department of Space.
Okay. And sir, ISRO is generally known for its economic launches, the cheapest missions. So will it remain the same even after the private players enter into the system?
We are hoping that cost should be further reduced. That's what we want that to happen. But we will have to wait and see how it is going to get evolved.
Yes. So the private sectors can provide space services like building rockets or satellites, etc. Or we will see InSpace launching satellites and missions in future.
Now this InSpace will not launch anything.
Okay.
InSpace is a regulatory body which have its own the directorates and other things, and which will be that giving permission for private players to carry out the job, and also the permission for sharing the resource facility. That's all. InSpace will not have any other launching and nothing. Launching will be done by that the private players with the permission of the InSpace.
Okay. And do you see any Indian version of SpaceX which is marveled as a success story in private space launch vehicle development and all?
That we may have to wait. That I'm sure that our industries will gear up, and they will be also looking into this type of opportunities and make use of these opportunities and do the required task. I'm sure that it will, but we have to wait for the thing to come.
Okay. And it will generate a lot of employment opportunities besides boosting industrial growth. That what we can foresee?
Yes, I feel that it should generate a lot of employment, because now this more private players will do that the space activities. To carry out the space activities, a lot of human resources required, and this in turn will give a lot of employment.
Sir, ISRO has partnered with Jadavpur University for research-based projects in space simulation and space technologies for future missions to moon and beyond. So how do you see this collaboration with ISRO for designing the soft landing mechanism for next moon lander?
Now, this ISRO already had the collaboration with the different universities for carrying out the technical work. That is a part of the ISRO's activity that will continue.
Yeah.
Also, ISRO has created the different incubation centers across the country. That also going to be there. So also that there, ISRO has now created a lot of the science and technology center in the premier institution that are also going to be there. All those activities will be there. That is going to continue. Those are activities, the outreach activities of ISRO. And what right now we are working on is something additional system, an extra feature to that our space activities in India. That is enabling the private sector to carry out the space activities.
Sir, InSpace is the second space organization created by the government in the last 2 years. Earlier, it has created New Space India Limited. Now, New Space India Limited, Antariksh Corporation, InSpace, ISRO. There are a number of terms, coming up in between. How the space lovers can differentiate between these bodies, if you can just briefly tell us.
See, that is, if you have seen the Department of Space, is that the is that bigger department. Under the department, we had the three verticals. One vertical is that ISRO, which contains different centers like Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, Liquid Propulsion System Center, like that. Many centers are there under ISRO. That is one vertical. And the second vertical we talked in the Department of Space was that autonomous bodies, that is the Physical Research Laboratory, Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology, and the National Atmospheric Research Laboratory. Like that, some set up seven numbers of this one, that is seven numbers of autonomous bodies are coming under the Department of Space. This is the second vertical. Third vertical is the public sector unit under the Department of Space. That is the NSIL.
Yes.
Now, additionally, there is N-Space, which is coming as a fourth vertical, which will be enabling the private players to carry out the space activities. There is no interaction and no sharing of the thing, nothing. It's an additional vertical introduced under the Department of Space.
Good to know this, sir. It's time for a short break now. And after the break, we'll try to understand how the coronavirus pandemic has affected ISRO space missions and its scientists. Stay tuned.
India Science is an internet-based science TV channel initiated by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, implemented and managed by Vigyan Prasar. India Science on the URL www.indiascience.in is a bilingual channel with content in Hindi and English. It can be accessed on any internet-enabled device. This video platform is dedicated to science and technology knowledge dissemination with a strong commitment to spreading scientific awareness, especially with Indian perspectives, ethos and cultural context. The India Science mobile app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store and Apple Store.
Welcome back after the break. We are in conversation with Dr. K. Sivan. Sir, pandemic has delayed all our missions and we understand that. But any new deadlines set yet?
Definitely that the pandemic has affected our missions. Basically, that is because most of our works are being done at the industries. And because of this lockdown impact, that the industries are not able to reach the full potential. So this has some impact on our missions. And all the missions, whether it's the Chandrayaan mission or Gaganyaan mission or our launch missions, everything's got affected because of this one. And we may have to take assessment maybe after this lockdown become normal. That is, the issue become normal. Then only we can make assessment, and then based on assessment we will decide reprioritize the missions as per the national needs.
And I'm sure the viewers want to know how the world's best scientists manage these pandemic times.
Now, this during the pandemic time, the scientists are working from the home. We have a lot of our activity involved design, documentation, review, then realization. And the only thing is that the realization activity by industry and also that our lab was not functioning during lockdown. Otherwise, all other activities was going on without any problem.
Okay, some of the missions we know, it is in all over in news, like the big missions, Chandrayaan, Gaganyaan and all that. But some other missions that ISRO is currently working on, and we will come out with it further in future.
Yes, definitely. That is that we have a lot of missions. Our space science mission, Then we have that our regular activities related to that advanced technology development and the capacity building measures the systems that on. A lot of activities are waiting for us to do.
And presently, 4 of our Indian Air Force pilots are undergoing astronaut training in Russia. Out of the 4, 3 will be selected to travel to space. So, any update on that, sir, for our viewers?
Now, this 4 astronauts undergoing training in Russia, it was 11-month training, but we are given 4-month cushion so that we put as a duration of 15 months.
Mm-hmm.
And in between that, due to that the corona-based lockdown,
Yeah.
they are also impacted this one. But after some break, now once again they are recommence that training program. After the astronauts, the training is completed in Russia, they will be coming to India. And India also, that is that a module-specific training will be carried out.
Okay.
And, before they are actually flying.
Okay. And are we ready to give them further training once they are back to India?
Yes, we are working on that because that our simulators are not ready. That is, we are in the process of making because the corona, every activity that COVID-19 has an impact.
Yes, we understand that.
Like that, all this is still we are going ahead, but exact the date for this one will come later only.
Yes, sir. And there was one good news that we came across recently. The ISRO got patent for liquid cooling and heating garment, likely for use by Indian astronauts. Congratulations for that, sir. And when this will be in real sense available for our astronauts?
No, that is that. First of all, thank you for your congratulations. That is that we are working on that, and when the systems are ready for flying, astronauts are also getting prepared. At that time, this also will be available for them to make use of that.
And do you see its layman usage as well, as in some other sectors as well in later?
Definitely, that is whatever technology we develop for space. Many technologies will have that applications in commercial or public sector that we used to call as a technology spin-off. Yes. I'm sure that this also will have real applications with that required spin-off.
Okay. And what more innovations ISRO is into? Some smart gadgetry, smart street lights, something like that, if you want to mention some for us?
That is, we had to work out and we will come back to that.
Okay. And what are ISRO's way ahead in public outreach? This is going to be an issue now.
Yes, that is that because of this lockdown, that many of our outreach program also got affected. Like I was telling that we are working on that incubation centers at different universities, that science and technology centers, like that. All these activities are got affected because of our this one. But at the same time, that whatever possible to be done through virtual mode, through the web mode, that we are continuing to reach the people in a maximum possible way.
Yes, we completely understand that, sir. It's time for a short break for us, and after break, we would talk about the personal aspects of our ISRO Chairman, Dr. K. Sivan. Stay tuned.
India Science is an internet-based science TV channel initiated by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, implemented and managed by Vigyan Prasar. India Science on the URL www.indiascience.in is a bilingual channel with content in Hindi and English. It can be accessed on any internet-enabled device. This video platform is dedicated to science and technology knowledge dissemination with a strong commitment to spreading scientific awareness, especially with Indian perspectives, ethos and cultural context. The India Science mobile app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store and Apple Store.
Welcome back after the break. We are in conversation with Dr. K. Sivan. Sir, how do you see the Chandrayaan launch last year?
Yes, this was a very exciting the mission Chandrayaan 2, and it was a very complex mission.
Yes.
And also that is that we are doing that everything for the first time. So there are a lot of the technological developments that the institution is involved. And we have done all these mission activities very beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
We could put that orbiter also around the moon successfully,
Yes.
and it also functioning now very well. And at the same time, that is one major objective of this mission of soft landing on the moon and the rover, moving the rover on the moon. These objectives could not be accomplished. It was the setback. But otherwise, that orbiter is functioning very well and it is doing the science part.
This launch brought an emotional K. Sivan in front of the world. How emotional are you in your real life?
That is definitely that when we have so much attachments toward a particular system, that the emotion will come. That
Automatically, yes, sir.
Without emotional attachment, the attachment will not happen.
Very true, sir. Very true. We understand that completely. You joined ISRO in 1982 and it's 2020 now. This was a long journey from a layman to ISRO chairman. How you see your journey? We find it very inspirational, I must say that. How do you see your journey, sir?
And I would say that the entire journey was having a lot of ups and downs, mainly the struggles. The struggles means not the fighting against odd, it is not like that. All along that the day I joined, and till now, always some new developments, new activity, new challenges that it is coming. Even last week also it has happened like the installation of in space,
Yes.
like that. So all along this is a very, very exciting journey with a lot of challenges and hurdles to overcome. All these things were that I could say that I could do whatever best possible from me to ensure that all these hurdles are handled without any problem.
Yes, sir. That's the beauty of life and we take it positively. Sir, your biggest achievement till date? Anything you can tell us?
And actually that is that every time that every hurdles that each hurdle I passed on and I overcome the hurdle and achieved something. I used to think that yes, this is the best, the biggest thing. But immediately after another hurdle will come. And that challenge, that used to be the bigger than the other one. Like that, every time like that. I cannot say that the entire thing was like this one.
Your entire journey is an achievement, no doubt, sir. But we are human beings. We have failures too. Any failure that you remember?
There are many failures. That is definitely there is many that failures happen many times. And you know that a recent one was that our Chandrayaan 2.
Yes.
So definitely it is affected, but at the same time we have come with vigor, more vigor for the next mission, like that. And whenever such type of thing coming, that our next step used to be having more vigorness to achieve that thing.
Yes, sir. And I want to tell you that the Indians, we all, our viewers, we don't take it as a failure. It's really success for us. Sir, you are an idol and mentor for many budding scientists. Do you look up to someone? Who is your mentor?
No, there is that here also I would say that all along that my journey from the day I joined, even that I would say that before joining the organization, even during my studies, continuously that I was lucky enough to have a lot of mentors. We are not only one person. Right from the beginning of that school days onward, I have that opportunity, and I would say that I was a lucky person in that process. Along my career, there are wherever required, mentors were there, and they gave that full directions so that to direct me in the proper way.
That's wonderful, sir. Any message to the private players and the upcoming scientists you want to give?
And even that private players or that upcoming scientists are one thing that I had to I used to tell. See, don't be that stay in the comfort zone. And you wanted to innovate something that you have to take a risk. Innovation comes with the risk. And if you are afraid about risk, you will not be able to innovate. And without innovate, you will not go forward. So they are interrelated. So don't bother about the risk. Risk will have some kind of sometimes some negative impact of failure, but doesn't mean without taking a risk, without failure, you will not innovate. And without innovate, we cannot advance. So definitely, you should get involved in innovations and take risks to make to make forward step, and also ultimately all of you should contribute. The private players or youth, they should contribute to make India a technology powerhouse. I would say in globally. That's what I have my vision. I'm sure that the youngsters and the private players will do the job as I have the vision.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sivan, for joining us, for generously sharing your expertise, your time with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's all for now. Namaskar.